Okay, hello, good evening or good day, class. So this is for the engagement section. I want to discuss the short film that you watched in your prelim exam. Okay, so this is analyzing movies part two. So you know that cinemas are places where people watch films and where we show emotions based on what we watch. Okay, because these emotions we may repress, and that while watching movies and films is just is where we is that right time where we show our emotion. Okay, so movies, entertainment, art. Again, when watching films you may identify with the story or with the characters, or you may idealize the stories and the characters. So what when you watch the movie Weathered, do you identify or do you idealize? So what are so either of those emotions, either of those key processes, what do you feel while watching the film? Okay, so when we discuss about symbolisms and meanings of the film, like for most every films, like there's symbolisms or meanings. So like this, and that some movies can be difficult or entertaining, and it can also be at the same it can be both difficult and entertaining at the same time. So let's go to Weathered. So after watching the movie Weathered, I ask you two questions. Do you consider the film both entertaining and difficult, or is it both, or is it none of the above? Okay, so if you answer for the first question, if you answer that the movie is only entertaining. So you may answer something like, the movie is entertaining because it hooked me in the very beginning. So in the beginning of the movie, why is this? You may question yourself, why is this woman going from doctor to doctor? And then the music is also nice to listen to and it fits in the film. So the soundtrack is entertaining, makes the movie entertaining, and helps, and the music matches whatever the character is feeling. And so, for example, like the song in which the weather is looking at old photos of her departed romantic partner, of her fiance. And then there's also a song at the end which also wraps up the film nicely. And then also the story wraps up the film nicely, where the weather realizes that she needs to move on from the past. Okay, so that's a sample of an answer if you think the movie is entertaining. Here is also a sample answer if you think the movie is difficult. Like for example, the film is difficult for me because not only do I find visiting the doctor's office uncomfortable, that's like a personal feeling of the one who is writing this comment. So I don't like watching a sad story about a person losing and still remembers the loss of a loved one. So okay, so people might find this movie difficult because of the sad story, or something like I find it difficult to identify with the woman. So this viewer might not feel any identification with the character, since I have not experienced the grief of losing a loved one, and if I do, I can't imagine grieving for a long time like her. I would move on fast and not feel so much grief that I have to meet many doctors to help me uh, be slow or delay my career and finally start getting over my grief after meeting another person who's also experiencing the same thing. Okay, so that's a review for someone who might find the film difficult because he or she might find it difficult to identify with the character. Okay, so both of these answers, all opinions are correct as long as you can justify your opinion about the movie. Okay, so you can justify properly. Okay, so the next question is the symbolism. So what symbolism can you define the film? So you have to pick out a symbolism and justify why this is a symbolism. Reason out properly why this is symbolism in the film. So here are the most obvious for me, and I'm pretty sure there are other symbolisms in the film. The first one is the turtle, and that whether having to carry it around or having it around her. So the turtle symbolizes a lot of things. Number one is, and the most obvious is, the number one, the turtle symbolizes Weather's dead fiance. It is interesting to note that the turtle is a he or a male, and that her grief, and that the turtle symbolizes her grief, which she carries wherever she goes, and she doesn't want to let it go. Diba? The saying, I remember the saying, or we remember the saying that carrying your burdens wherever you go. Number two is the female goldfish. So juxtaposed with the guy character Stan, whom Weather meets at the climax of the film. He carries the female goldfish wherever he goes and is reluctant to pass the goldfish symbolizes his grief to Weather. So Stan and Weather are both experiencing the grief of losing a loved one, and their pets symbolizes their respective dearly departed. So them carrying their pets wherever they go also symbolizes, again to emphasize, symbolizes the burden, the grief that they carry. So third, this exchange between them. So passing the goldfish means sharing the burden. So Weather decides to watch over Stan's goldfish while he goes to the doctor. During this scene, the time freezes and a song plays in the background. So a song plays in the background. So the song interestingly has the lyrics, and when the subway dimmed, a stranger lit my way. This is the brotherhood of man. So saying that, so diba, uh, two strangers are meeting each other and know and realizing that they have the same problem, and that and that one of them choose, well each of well both of them choose to share the burden, metaphorically, when Stan decides to give up temporarily his fish, or passes the fish in the care of in Weather's care. Okay, so there are other symbolisms after that. Just to wrap this up nicely, um, Weather's room, if you remember in the earlier part of the film, Weather's room was dark, especially that it sets in the beginning. The room was shown during the nighttime, and when the curtains are down, and then and the curtains covered window, and right now at the end it's daylight. The sun is shining through um, Weather's apartment. The curtains are are opened, and then Weather is fixing her hair, and then Weather is throwing her old typing machine because, diba earlier, her work friend is telling her to just buy a computer. So at first, Weather doesn't want to let go of her typing machine, and now she is dumping the typing machine. So she is letting go of the past. But that doesn't mean that she is forgetting her fiance. She is naming her turtle Jules. Jules is the name of her departed fiance. So it doesn't mean like it's forgetting the past. It doesn't mean that she's forgetting the people that she loved in the past. That she may be letting go of Jules, but she is not forgetting Jules. Okay. And so like also there's also like there's a part in the end of the film where they closes the album photo, which contains old photos of her fiance. So it means like closing a chapter in her life. And then there's a card from Stanway Steiny, which is the complete name of the guy who owned the goldfish. And that's surprising. Interestingly, Stan works at a computer machine, so oh god, so we can tell that Weather is going to contact Stan for a computer. So and then that there's a friendship, and then and then I think maybe in the minds of the viewers or in the viewers that Stan and Weather will start a friendship. So somebody written like hoping that there's a part two. Uh, this is actually a 2009 film, and then sadly there is no part two. But we can get, or we can get from the ending of the film of what happens next. with Weather and Stan. Okay, so to properly uh, credit the film, The Weather. Weather is a 2009 short film by Matt Barber and Matthew Webb and starring Nicole Parker, Tony Hale, Matt Barber, and Cynthia Avila. And you can watch the film for free on on this link on Vimeo. Okay, so that is for the engagement section. Um, there'll be another a part 3 lesson, the proper lesson, the new a new lesson in the explain and elaborate section. Okay.